All right, I got Ernie today with us on the podcast. He's a custom design, build, and remodel. He's one of my favorite new clients that I've been working with locally in the Valley. And Ernie, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So today we just mostly wanted to talk about what makes a home remodeling company different and why, everyone is priced differently. Why would you want to go with a more expensive home remodeling company versus someone who might be a little bit cheaper? And just any
Yeah.
ideas?
So every remodeling company is built different. They have different parameters of what they do and how they do it. Our process is that we're, of course, licensed, bonded, fully insured by the Register of Contractors. We are members of the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating, National Kitchen and Bath Association, National Association of Remodelers, and a member of the Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce. And the other thing that's different about my company is that we have 4 different licenses. We're not just a remodeling company, although that's all we really do, but we also legally can do anything electrical, plumbing, or air conditioning for a customer.
Oh, wow. So you went above and beyond and got every single license related to the home
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah, most remodeling companies have only just a remodeling license, but they don't have all the other licenses, so that they legally can't do that work. They may do it, but they legally can't do that work.
Interesting. So that's kind of a legal gray area that a lot of
Correct.
other remodeling companies
Correct.
cross.
Correct.
Interesting. And so what goes into the price of a home? Like, why some people get really sticker shock when they first see an estimate for a home remodeling. I mean, even I do when I'm shopping for like windows or some other home project, but what really goes into the pricing process? Could you break that down for us a little bit?
I can. So our price is a line item pricing. We don't just give you a ballpark number or a round number or a pick. We call it pluck from the air number.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is a calculated number based on quantity, product, and labor for the job. So it's quantifiable. I mean, it's a calculated number. It's
Yeah.
not
And
just
you
a
were telling
guess.
me the other day that when you get a lead and you have a job, it takes you an entire day just to make that estimate, right? It's not like a small time investment for you, the
Oh,
company owner, right?
correct. At least a day. It could take even a couple days because we want to be very detailed and specific so that the customer, if you get the job and you're doing the job, the customer doesn't say, "I thought that was included." We can honestly say, "Well, look at your written proposal, and if it says that I'll do it, I'll do it. If it doesn't say it's not included, like a doorbell, it's not included, then we didn't include that in it."
I see. Interesting. And then what about the design process of, like, a lot of people don't really know what they want, and especially like a kitchen remodel where it's really flashy and there's like a dream. How do you go about the process of taking someone's dream and turning it into reality?
Well, initially we meet with the homeowner, husband and wife, find out what their needs are, or what their wants are, and detail it out. We get specific measurements and quantities, but then we have an interior designer that works with us, and she'll do what we call a rendering of the house, of the kitchen or the bath. We won't do a job without a rendering because it just clarifies everything to the homeowner what we're doing, and it clarifies to my people or any subcontractors that are working on the job exactly what they're supposed to do.
That's awesome. Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that different than other companies? What do other
Well,
companies do?
some companies don't have an in-house designer. They may have somebody that they use that isn't an
In-house.
employee or part of their company. And a lot of companies just don't do that at all. They just leave it to the homeowner to go get the design, and then they give it to the contractor, and then the contractor bids it from them. But our designer is involved in the job from day one all the way through.
And that's interesting that you said that they're in-house versus outsourcing to a subcontractor.
Right.
For your labor as well, do you use a lot of subcontractors or do you have in-house employees as well?
We have both. We have employees that work for me full time every day, all the time. I may sub out a trade like paint
Yeah.
or flooring, something along those lines that we can get to the project faster by using a sub once in a while.
Yeah.
We don't like to get spread too thin. We like to be able to start the job
And finish it
the
fully.
job in the time frame that the homeowner wants.
What's the normal turnaround time for a kitchen remodel?
It all depends. It really depends on the size and the details of the kitchen. I mean, it could be anywhere from a month to 6 weeks for the minimum, probably, and it could be 6 months for a
Really
long,
large one.
yeah, if they have, the thing that determines the time frame on a job is the ordering of the material.
I see.
So cabinets are not a fast item. So once the cabinet on a job is designed, then they put in the system to order, it's anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks before we get it in our hands. Once the cabinets are installed, then we have to measure for the countertops, and once it's measured, it could be 10 days before we get that
I see.
put in. So that's what slows down the process.
Is actually ordering the materials,
Yeah,
custom.
but prior planning is the key. So we want to make all our decisions as soon as we can during the course of the job, so that we order ahead of time the plumbing fixtures, the electrical fixtures, the flooring, the cabinets, the countertops, so that we have
them all ready to be able to install
right.
when it's that turn.
Correct.
Interesting. And so you're able to condense the time of a normal, like maybe another company who doesn't pre-plan all that might take even longer than your estimated time.
Correct.
Yep. Interesting. Any other specific things that you can think of that really make you stand apart from your competition that is also licensed and insured?
I think the one thing is my years and years of experience. I started off not as a remodeling company, but as an electrical contractor.
Oh.
And I owned a company that did electrical, plumbing, and air conditioning service and repair. So I understand the systems in the home, everything that's related to those items, which is a big component of any remodeling project.
Interesting.
So it's the years of experience. That's how I got all this gray hair.
Yeah, I'm sure they can be pretty stressful sometimes. And then because our listeners aren't just in Arizona and local to us, if they're not close to us and they can't actually buy from you, what kind of questions would you recommend a homeowner ask before they start a remodeling project when they're trying to hire someone to remodel their home?
Well, the number one thing is they need to make sure that the contractor is a licensed, bonded, fully insured company, licensed by the Register of Contractors, and that's easy to find out. You can just go online to az.gov and find out all the details about the company. You want to find out if they have any complaints against them. The one thing I would never recommend doing would be hiring an unlicensed contractor, because the Register of Contractors protects you, and that's very important.
So, yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. What's some horror stories you've seen with people who have hired unlicensed contractors?
Well, all kinds of issues that can happen. I mean, if there's poor workmanship and they're not licensed, there's nothing you can do. You can't take them to court. You can't get legal with them, because if they're not licensed,
there's no one to hold them accountable for.
There's no accountability.
And so legally, are you required to have a license to offer your home remodeling services? I thought that's a legal requirement for advertising, right?
It is. Any job over $1,500 has to be licensed.
But people are still hiring unlicensed contractors somehow anyways.
When price is the only issue, and then they want to cheapen the
job. Why are they able to charge less when they are not licensed?
Well, because they don't have all the expense to run their legitimate business. I mean,
I see.
A licensed contractor also has to have workman's comp insurance. Mm-hmm. He has to have general liability insurance, and you get a guy that's we call him a chuck in a truck that has none of those. Then you don't have any protection at all.
Interesting. I wonder if the guy I had was licensed. We had a kitchen remodel when we first moved in, but I didn't even ask if they were licensed or not.
Did you have any problems?
No, it was fine.
Well, and I'm not saying all the unlicensed guys are bad people, but I'm just saying for your protection, you want to make sure they're licensed.
An extra layer of protection.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Interesting. And then as far as like the quality control goes, because I feel like that's the biggest part of whether or not a kitchen is really good or not. What do you do to make sure that everything is done properly?
Well, one of my things that I do is I believe that I believe that I need to touch and feel a job every day. So virtually every day I go to the job and make sure things are going right, the material's there, the tools are there, the right people are there. And that there's in a remodel project, there's a lot of questions that the homeowner has along the way.
Yeah.
They don't know, and we don't know all the answers at the beginning, but
Sure.
we learn them as we go.
Yeah.
We don't know that the floor is not level. We don't know that if there's mold or any of those things.
I see.
So for quality control, we touch and feel the job every day. I do. I have also a project manager that's involved that's looking at my jobs too.
Wow.
Quality control is the key.
I see. So you have two people just on quality control, yourself and a project manager.
The other guy works also physically on the job, but he's available if I have a question or we have a need.
Interesting.
To the job.
And then what is the biggest question that your customers or potential customers ask you when they're hiring you?
It depends on what they're looking for. So if they're looking for a cheap price, then they're going to talk about pricing and numbers all the time. If they're looking for quality, then they're going if they're looking for quality, they're going to ask me about the quality of our work that we do.
Yeah.
It depends on the needs of the customer. I mean, some customers, price is not the issue. It is always an issue, but it's not the issue.
Yeah.
Quality.
Where do you fall in line to your competitors on price?
The honest answer to that is I have no idea.
Oh yeah, you haven't done a lot of competitor research.
I don't care what they charge.
Yeah. I
honestly care what I charge.
I see.
Yeah, I don't get involved in. I mean, I hear things out there in the field, but I don't base what we do on what my competitors are charging their customers. Yeah.
That's a good answer. Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I mean, I do work with different industries around the U.S. and I have a couple other home remodeling clients, but they also seem to be on the higher price end.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just because if they're a lower price, they can't afford marketing.
Right.
So you won't even be able to talk to me if you can't even afford to pay your employees or charging too little to run the business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have in this kind of business, you have to market. If you rely on word of mouth, you're one customer away from being out of business.
Yeah.
And I want to keep my people employed. I want to keep the business going. So we do. We don't spend a ton of money on ridiculous marketing, but we have a good website. We have Facebook and Instagram and all that. We have other advertising. So advertising is a key component.
Yeah, in any business, I feel like you have to fuel the fire, otherwise the business will die off. Correct. So it's a necessary evil, but I like to try to make it less evil.
Correct. Yeah.
With the company.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any other final notes before we wrap up?
I mean, the only note I have is it's about trust. The customer has to trust the company that they're working for, and they should look at all the elements that the company has put out there that build trust and accountability. And we think that we've done that. We believe we've done that. And I have no complaints. I have very happy customers, and I'm happy to be doing this for anybody that wants a house remodeled.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like even more than any other industry, when you're hiring, like for example, if I'm hiring someone to paint my house, if they mess up, it's not a huge deal. Like, you just got an ugly house. Yeah. But if you have someone who's messing with your plumbing and messing with your kitchen and they're there for months at a time, you really have to be sure that you got the right company, that someone that you actually absolutely trust.
Right.
Otherwise, you could really make your life hell. My uncle actually, he just went through a hell experience where they had ordered cabinets from some company to remodel their kitchen, and their kitchen was undone for I think 6 months, where the cabinets never arrived. And then when they did arrive, they were broken and blah, 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 blah. It was a nightmare experience where they were having to eat from the garage for a ton amount of time.
Well, it's a tough thing for a homeowner, and I understand it because we are very much inconveniencing them for a while.
Yeah.
And some of my customers go get an Airbnb, or they go away for a month in the summer, or they just get out of our way. Others want to stay in the house, and if it's a major remodel, that's rough. If it's just a kitchen or just a bathroom, that's doable. So
I see.
And I mean, the other thing that's important for the homeowner. So hypothetically, let's say that a remodeling company is doing a bathroom remodel or a kitchen, whatever, and they don't hook the plumbing lines back up together correct, and it floods in the middle of the night.
Oof.
So when it floods in the middle of the night like that, then the next morning, turn off the water. They call their homeowner's insurance. The homeowner's insurance is going to ask, well, who did the work? Was he a licensed contractor or not? And if the remodeling company says, if they say, well, he's a licensed remodeling company, if he doesn't have the plumbing license, it's not covered under the homeowner's insurance.
Oh, dang. So that's why it is really important to have the multiple licenses
Correct.
for every single type of thing that you
Correct.
might work on.
Right.
Interesting. And so you originally started as an electrical engineer, right?
Electrical contractor.
Electrical contractor.
When I was 28.
Interesting. And when did you transition, and why did you transition into a home remodeling
Well,
contractor?
so over the years, I transitioned from just being an electrical subcontractor doing commercial buildings and tract homes and stuff like that. I wanted to get more into the service business, so I started doing electrical service. I found that there wasn't as much electrical service as there was plumbing. So I went and got educated and trained and became a licensed plumber. And then I did the same thing with HVAC. I've gone through the course to HVAC is cooling and heating or air conditioning.
Yeah.
So I've gone to the course to be a master heat pump technician
Really?
over the years.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. And then when I sold that company, that's all that company did. Up to that point, I'd done a few remodeling projects, but it wasn't the main focus. And after I sold that company, I took a little time off, and I decided, well, I'm going to go back at it, and I'm going to go just after the residential remodel market.
Interesting.
And I'm happy I did.
Yeah. And so how many years has it been since you started custom design, build, and remodel? Since
Three
selling
years.
the other company? 3 years.
Just 3 years. The other company I had for 15 years
Wow.
plus, and then I sold it.
So you've been working in the residential space for almost 2 decades now.
Oh, yeah.
Or even longer than that, since you're 28 then.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's awesome.
There's not much I haven't seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Good and bad, huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all for today. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
And everyone, look out for custom design, build, and remodel. They're coming to your market.
Thank you.
Thanks.